Hey there, Griever Gang, welcome back to Griever Productions, a newcomer to this channel. Now, something that was quite interesting, I've been using a new Google form, which you can find in the description below if you would like to recommend anything that you'd like me to look at. And this one had popped up with zero context. And by zero context, I genuinely mean this is what I saw when I opened up the link. Now, I can speak English, and I know English quite well. I know no other languages. Like, I know tiny little bits of Maltese, I know a little bit of Swedish. I have no idea what this is. So, I ran this one through a translator, and I hope that what I have done is got the right thing. So it looks as though the song is called On the Road to Revolution, performed by this group. I think, like, look, I don't know. I'm going to be putting the lettering in the description. I actually don't know whether or not this is correct at all. But hey, I may need to do a little bit of research into this one. I tend to avoid doing that as much as I can to give as organic a reaction as possible. But who knows? Who knows? I might need to make sure that I don't look stupid this time. But I mean, look, let's get into it. Before we begin, please do leave a like on the video. It really does help. If you have not subscribed, highly appreciate it if you did so. But without any further ado, let's have a look at, I believe it's pronounced Aina the End. I may be wrong. And this song here, let's just get into it, shall we? Okay, hang on a second. Straight away, so for those who are new to this channel, I like to pause things and go through what I'm hearing here. Straight off the bat, I'm getting this very kind of indie rock vibe, which I absolutely dig. There's something interesting about the tonality of her voice before I talk about his. I talk about the resonance center a lot, and what that means is where the voice kind of reverberates inside the mouth itself in order to give the sound that it does. And her placement is, I'm going to use the word strange, and I don't mean strange in a bad way. It's unusual, and not something you hear very often. What tends to kind of happen is, and this is a very gross simplification of this, so there is obviously more nuance to this, but usually if you're doing rock stuff, usually the resonance center will be more forward. If you're doing classical, it'll be more back. There are obviously exceptions to that rule, but that's the kind of stereotype. Hers is interestingly placed at kind of the roof of the mouth, on like kind of in between the hard and the soft palate there, and that's where she's getting this, I don't want to say harsh tone, because again, harsh sounds negative, and that's not, it's not, there's nothing negative about it. It's just that effect, AFFECT, that's on the voice there. It kind of creates that almost nasal sort of thing there, which is really nice. Now, his voice, something strange there too. How do I explain this? Because look, here's the thing. If he was coming to me as a student, I would get him to avoid a couple of different things. But what I would get him to do would not give him this sound. It would actively change the sound, and this is what he wants. This is the sound that he wants to go for. So, you know, that's and that's great. What my biggest thing here is, while the sound is very, very good, I worry about the longevity of a voice like this. And sure, he might be able to get like a decade or maybe two out of a voice like this, but at some point there will need to be some form of pulling back and almost relearning the voice. Otherwise, there's every possibility that it will go. And I don't mean that as a negative criticism. It's just there are vocalists throughout the world that have had this sort of issue happen. And Stevie Wonder is the best example that I can think of, where he was singing in a very particular way. Actually, you'll be able to hear it if you go to his earlier recordings and then you go to much later recordings. You can hear the tone is different, and the reason being he had to change the way that he sung in order to keep a voice. And I don't want that to sound like a negative thing here, because it is very it does sound very good. That is just where my concern is straight off the bat after hearing the way that he muscled that up. But he's a very good example, though, of singing being a full body experience that I explain quite a bit as well, where you watch his body tense in order to get the notes out. He does a very good job, but let's continue on. Changed her resonant center here. Her resonant center has kind of moved forward here. Quite low for a female voice too. Okay, so in this section here, her resonant center moved forward for the lower part, and she's got quite a low voice, and it gives a very different sound, and it is absolutely wonderful, and I like to see these different facets of vocalists. His voice here, I much prefer him in this area. That he has such a gorgeous warm tone here, and I love that. I think that is terrific. But let's move on. Very expressive. I need to go back. I heard a really cheeky piano line in there that was really nice. Okay, there's something that she's doing very interestingly with her voice here. And I, like, kind of, the way that she's handling the lower sections and the more kind of mid-range sections for her, the placement is very different. And part of me is wondering why she's doing it that way. I actually really dig the sound. I think, because there's two things, right, that come to mind. Either she has to do it for the lower section because she can't hit the notes, or it is an active choice. Based upon the music that I'm hearing, I feel like that second option is more likely, that it is an active choice. And that kind of comes from a lot of this sort of, dare I say, indie-style music as well, where, you know, you're kind of left to your own devices and kind of able to do what you want to. It's not necessarily for general pop audiences. I don't want to generalize it that hard, to be honest, but I suppose that's the only way to kind of pronounce it. The only way to kind of explain it. But it is a very interesting way to handle the voice. And it does create very different tonalities, creating different textures throughout the song. And that's really nice. And he's very good at that as well. That the kind of higher stuff has that almost vocal fry on it, creating the different texture from when he's singing what I assume are the verse kind of sections that are a little bit lower. They're both very expressive voices, and they're wonderful. Sound-wise, they're brilliant. Ooh, good harmony. I didn't expect that. Fantastic. That's awesome. That's really cool. All right, let's go over to final thoughts. Okay. That was really cool. That was really nice. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought that what they were doing there was really nice. The concerns I had about the gentleman's voice at the start almost became a little bit less founded, like they were a little bit more unfounded, I mean. It seemed as though the technique did kind of come into it a little bit better as the song went on. But also, I don't have context as to whether or not this is a dubbed performance or if this is one that was recorded when they were there at the time. It does say acoustic version, so maybe it was done live and that's what we're hearing, and then there's, you know, a whole plethora of things that differ in a live setting than what they do in a studio setting. But this was really, really wonderful. I love the style. The voices are great. They work really nicely together, despite something that I mentioned quite a bit on the channel is that sometimes when you're doing duets or duos, when there's two voices, you really need to make sure that those voices blend. And it is sometimes hard to get voices to work together. Sometimes, right, you'll put two people together that you think are going to work really, really well, and they don't. And sometimes you'll put two together that you're not really sure about, and then they'll do an incredible job. And a large part of that is how they work together. But another part of that is, you know, the predetermined almost genetics of how their voice sounds. And as an example, the hardest kind of combination to do, if you have someone with a really warm tone, like he has, and someone with a much harsher, colder tone, then they tend to clash. Not saying that hers is harsher or colder, but as to put as an example. And to be completely honest, at the start, when I heard the first few lines of both of them, I thought their voices were incredibly polarizing, like kind of on that scale. But when they came together, it was brilliant. And a large part of that, I think, was the both of them worked to adapt their tonality to match the other person a little bit, which you can do. It takes a bit of practice, but you gotta, you definitely have to know your own voice in order to make that happen. And that takes a lot of work. And they seem to have been able to do it. And do it well. So, yeah, I'd love to actually see more of these. So if you guys want me to have a look at more, put them in the Google form in the description below. And, yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all the time I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to that sort of thing. I'll catch you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us further and join the wonderful list of people here, we have a Patreon that you can join from as little as $3 Australian per month. And if you like gaming and film reviews, you can join us over at Griever Gaming or Griever Film and TV. Links in the description below. Griever Film and TV is one that I've still yet to launch, but hopefully that'll be soon. Alright, see you soon.